All right, so right now we're gonna go over how I am memorizing Matthew 1. Matthew, we're gonna do the whole Matthew, but right now we're just gonna do Matthew 1 through 17 to make it a shorter clip because it's gonna be a long one. So to memorize 1 through 17, that's basically the genealogy of Jesus. And I used the Pack Family House. I went to the house, I think for Christmas or something, and this is how I remember what their house looked like. So it might be different, but it is now. So I'm gonna use a memory palace, and I'm using 5 locations for each 5 items, location items in one section. So first it's the outside of their house, then we're going to go to their living room, and then from the living room we're going to go to their dining room area, and the dining room area to the actual kitchen area, how I remember it. We'll do the memory palace. I'll just show you real quick. I'm trying to be quick about this, so I won't go through all the details, but just how, what I can talk about. So the first location will be the gate in front of the garage door, the front door, and then the stepping stones that lead to another door on the gate. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's verses 1 through 5, right? So that's basic what I'm going to be doing for each location. 5 locations in the living room, 5 locations in the dining room, 5 locations in the kitchen. Okay, so the first location is that gate. So I just remember the record, like a record, spinning record, and then Jean from LAH, she picks it up and she gives it to Jesus, and he looks like a little messy for Messiah, and Messiah hands it, and Jesus hands that to David. David is a friend from MV, and then he hands that over to Abraham Lincoln. Okay, Abraham Lincoln hops over that gate and tries to go open the garage door, but he can't. And then there's next to him is Isaac Newton. I just imagine some guy with an apple, the tree apple falling from the tree thing. So Isaac Newton, they open up the garage door, and then there's Jacob. Jacob is inside, and Jacob, I remember this person that I met. His name was Jacob, and he was Jewish. He had like a yarmulke. Is that what it's called? Anyways, that comes in handy with the next one, because the next person is Judah. So for Judah, I imagine Yoda with the yarmulke as well. So he's Jewish. So Jewish Yoda, Judah. Okay, and Judah goes to the next location, which is the front door. This is verse 3, and the front door, Judah is fighting a Pez. He's fighting a Pez with his lightsaber, and you open up the Pez, and inside there's Sarah, this person I know from LAH, and she's dressed as Zorro, so it's Zara, and then it's by Tamar. So I just memorized that. And then Perez is the father of Hezron. So Perez falls down, the Pez falls down, and He-Man and Ron from Harry Potter pick it up, and then they also flip open like a mat area, and a ram comes out. Okay, that's another person, Ram. And the next person is Aminadab. So I know a person named Mina, and she's dabbing inside the on the stepping stone, right? And next to her on the side is Sean, another person I know, Sean, and he's going nah. So nah, Sean. And then Sean has a salmon, and he's carrying the salmon, and he throws it over, and it flies to the next location, and the salmon is flopping around on that gate door, and there is Bo Jackson for Boaz. Okay, Bo Jackson, and he's coming from Rehab. So Boaz by Rahab, right? And also Boaz is the father of Obed. So I also imagine like a big bed on the sidewalk, and on the bed is Ruth, my friend Ruth, or you could think of baby Ruth on the bed, big bed. And then of course after Obed is Jesse, and Jesse is Jesse Jackson. Okay, so and then we'll go to the living room, and then there's a shoe rack, a shelf, a Christmas tree, and then a fireplace, and then this toy table with a bunch of cars on it. So the shoe rack is the first location. So Jesse Jackson's trying to put on his shoe, and he's the father of David. So David is there as well, and David is the father of Solomon, and Solomon for me is salami. And then I just imagine the salami in a bath for Bathsheba, and then he's urinating, so Uriah. Okay, we'll talk about how that works later. But anyways, that's that. And then Solomon goes to the shelf, and in the shelf there's Rey from Luke from Star Wars. Rey, and she's dressed as a hobo, so Rehoboam, right? And she's shooing a bee, and that's for Abijah. I think it's Abijah, but I'm just gonna say Abijah just so it's easier for me to remember. Abijah, and she's shooing away the bee until morning. Why? Because Asa is a next word or next person, and Asa in Japanese, in English is Japanese, and in English means morning. So she's doing that till morning. Then I'm going to go to the next location, which is the Christmas tree. And this is my favorite one because the person is Jehoshaphat. And how I remember is Chiho is also from a good friend of mine, Chiho So Fat. She's not fat, okay, but this is, I just imagine her being really fat. And then she's on top of the Christmas tree and it's leaning down. Chiho So Fat. Jehoshaphat, okay? And then there's also, next person is Joram. So that's Joyce, also a good friend. And she's riding a ram, and she's like ramming into the Christmas tree to make it go back up. The next person is Uzziah. I think it's Uzziah, but I just meant Uzziah is like Uzi, so it's shooting, and it's actually shooting at the next location, which is a fireplace, and there is John, another friend, John, and I imagine John as like a Batman because it's Jotham, so Gotham and John, so he's on top of the fireplace, like, you know, fireplace down here is on top. And then inside the fireplace is the next person is Ahaz. Aha. I remember that group that, you know, they did a black and white video, Aha, and they're singing Take On Me, that song. Anyways, they're in the fireplace singing that song, so that's Ahaz, Ahaz. And then outside is He-Man on a kayak, so Hezekiah. I don't know, it works for me. Hezekiah, He-Man on a kayak, okay? And he's kayaking over to the next location, the table with a bunch of cars on it. And the next person is Manasseh. So Manasseh, I know a person at Envy that plays a violin. Her name is Mana. So she's playing on top of the table, playing a violin. And there's also Amon. The next person is Amon, and I use Imon from West LA, and he's, you know, playing with the cars as well. And Amon, and then he's also playing with a person, Josiah, which is also a kid friend, one of our cousins' kid, Josiah. Okay, so that's verses 6 through 10, and we go to the next location, verses 11 through 15, which is the dining area. So it's a kitchen table and this black furniture thing that opens up, and then the rice cooker, and then that's a AC or fan, like a tall standing AC fan, and then like a small fridge. Okay, so Josiah is sitting at the dining room table and he's talking to a gecko, and the actual name is Jeconiah. Okay, Jeconiah, and his brothers are there, and they're on the wall is a baby, and I use that for Babylon, because the thing is, you'll see when I quote say the verse, but Babylon, right? And then the next furniture is this black thing that opens up. So Jeconiah will open that up, and then he'll pull out a shield, like a shield teal, right? And shield teal, and then a DVD of Babel. That's for Zerubbabel. That works for me, okay? Zerubbabel is thrown to the rice cooker, and the rice cooker pops up, and then Abby, she's a daughter of a missionary family that we know from LAH. So Abby is wearing a hood, so Abbyhood, and Abby is serving rice to Leah, also a friend from Envy, and she's feeding Leah and Kim, rice, right? And then they look down, and then there's Zorg from Toy Story going kind of like that, but that's for Azor, right? Okay, anyways, Azor is walks towards the AC fan standing thing, and then runs into Zac Efron on a duck, Zadok, right? And Zadok is running up the thing and puts his chin on top of the AC machine. So a chim, and then she sees Eliud. Eli is also a family friend from Envy, Eliud, and Eliud goes to the next item, and sees her, actually imagines her sitting on top of the refrigerator, and she's a Caesar. So Eliezer, right on top. And Eliezer opens up the door to the fridge, and inside there's a bunch of mats. So Mathan, and then she gives the Mathan to another Jacob. All right, Jacob goes to the next location, which is the actual kitchen. It starts with a counter, and then there's a refrigerator. So we'll start with the counter. Jacob goes there and says Jacob is the father of Joseph. So Joseph is also a person I know, the husband of Mary, by whom Jesus was born, whom they called the Messiah. Okay, and then the next location is the refrigerator. That's verse 17. And I just imagine me sewing the refrigerator for sew, and then an owl comes and tries to ruin the whole thing with the Star Trek Next Generation ship. So that's generation. So, and then you open it up, and then there's Abraham and David, and then also David and a baby. And then on the very bottom, there's the baby, and then it's a Messiah. So one of the things you have to memorize is like it's 14 generations. So I'll say that's just the image. So what I'm going to do right now is I'll use those locations and recite Matthew 1 through 17. Hopefully it'll all make sense, but it makes sense to me. Okay, so Matthew 1 is basic. Matthew 1 verse 1 is the record of genealogy of the Messiah, Jesus the Messiah, son of David, son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac the father of Jacob. Jacob, the father of Judah and his brother. Judah was the father of Perez and Zerah by Tamar. Perez was the father of Hezron, the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Aminadab. Aminadab, the father of Nahshon, the father of Salmon. Salmon was the father of Boaz by Rahab. Boaz was the father of Obed by Ruth. Obed, the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of David the king. David was the father of Solomon by Bathsheba, who was the wife of Uriah. Solomon was the father of Rehoboam. Rehoboam, the father of Abijah, the father of Asa. Asa, was the father of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat, the father of Joram. Joram, the father of Uzziah. Uzziah, the father of Jotham. Jotham, the father of Ahaz. Ahaz, the father of Hezekiah, the father of Manasseh. Manasseh was the father of Amon. Amon, the father of Josiah. Josiah became the father of Jeconiah. Jeconiah and his brothers at the deportation to Babylon. After the deportation of Babylon, Jeconiah became the father of Shealtiel. Shealtiel, the father of Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel, the father of Abiud. Abiud, the father of Eliakim. Eliakim, the father of Azor. Azor, the father of Zadok. Zadok, the father of Achim. Achim, the father of Eliud. Eliud, the father of Eliezer. Eliezer, the father of Mathan. Mathan, the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Joseph, who was a husband of Mary, by whom Jesus was born, whom they called Messiah. So all the generations from Abraham to David was 14 generations. From David to the deportation of Babylon, 14 generations. From the deportation to Babylon to the Messiah, 14 generations. Okay, that should be Matthew 1 through 17. Hopefully, this will help you memorize, give you some ideas. We'll keep going, but for those who are trying, hope this helps. It's good. I didn't really think it was really necessary to memorize a genealogy, but it's kind of cool because we read Genesis and we got to see the part. We're at the part where Joseph was being sold by his brother. Like they wanted to kill him, but Judah, one of his brothers, says no, let's sell him instead. So it's kind of cool because Judah is in that line of the messianic line. Also, I was reading Numbers 2, and then Numbers, I ran into Aminadab and Ashan, like they're in Numbers, and I was like, oh, I know who they are. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I hope this helps. And for those who are memorizing scripture, yeah, keep it up. Yeah, we'll keep going. Okay, for Z and the world. Bye bye.